and ashes. The temperature has yet to dissipate. Perhaps some of the wreckage belongs to those who were fleeing at the onset of the apocalypse. Congested on the roads out of the city. Perhaps more are survivors who followed the military's large-scale retreat yesterday. Wang Chung recalls the words of Boss Chun, whom he heard mention the military's fighter jets diving and bombing. What did they encounter? Wang Chung does not know. After discussing with Su Xinghai, they decide to take the national road instead. Once the plan is set, they quickly turn, and the exit of the national road is similarly a scene of devastation. Before and after the outbreak, the city has turned into hell. Many people, in a panic, chose the wilderness believing it to be safe, rushing to leave the city, creating massive congestion at various exits. In a state where monsters roam freely, these congested streets are no different from graves. These people died from their wrong choices. However, at this moment, the area is devoid of both people and monsters. After advancing for a while, Wang Chung and his group quickly pass through this congested area, completely entering the national road, leaving Haiqing behind. Looking back, Haiqing shrinks smaller and smaller in their view until it finally disappears completely. Along the way, there are a few scattered monsters, including aberrant creatures and crazed mutated dogs, but none pose a threat to Wang Chung, nor do they gather in numbers. Those who dared to block their path were all turned into energy points by Wang Chung. His total number of energy points has reached 387, approaching the 400 mark. However, due to frequent attacks, their speed has been impeded, and after nearly 2 hours of driving, they have only covered 70 to 80 kilometers. There are still about 300 kilometers to Fengtian, but by this time, they have completely left Haiqing behind, and everyone feels as if they are in a dream. At this moment, Su Xinghai, with keen eyes, spots a wrecked military vehicle under a tree on one side, and says, "There seems to be a soldier over there." Wang Chung looks over and slows down the vehicle. Beneath the wrecked military vehicle, instead of a soldier, there sits a disheveled survivor, with one leg broken, gasping for breath and on the brink of death, yet with a mad expression, muttering to himself. As Wang Chung and the others approach, the survivor looks at them with wide, terrified eyes. Su Xinghai examines the military vehicle and says, "It seems to belong to the army of Haiqing. This must be a survivor from the large retreat. I wonder how he got hold of a military vehicle, but why is he here?" Wang Chung notes that they are on the national road heading towards Fengtian, while the military's retreating convoy clearly took the highway towards Pingfeng Mountain, which is a diverging route from theirs. They shouldn't have encountered anyone from the retreat. Wang Chung suggests, is it possible that he is another survivor who found the military vehicle earlier and drove it out, not part of the retreat at all? But the survivor on the brink of death, upon hearing the words "Great Retreat," screamed as if going mad, his eyes bloodshot, seemingly infused with strength like a final flash of light, frantically clawing at his head and face, shouting, "It's over, it's over. We failed. We're all dead. All dead. They're all dead." Chapter 101. The Great Escape. The survivor's eyes were bloodshot, resembling a madman, his hands constantly scratching at his body, as if he had thought of something incredibly terrifying, his eyes bulging out. Just listening to his roars sent shivers down Wang Chung and Su Xinghai's spines. This person seemed to indeed be connected to the retreating troops. What is going on? What does he mean by all dead? Failure? Wang Chung stepped forward and spoke in a deep voice. "Calm down. Are you one of the survivors who retreated from the temporary base in Haiqing? Didn't you take the highway? How did you end up here? What exactly happened? Were you attacked by monsters?" This person's appearance was too terrifying, and the content of his words was shocking. If he wasn't just rambling, then something they didn't know must have happened during the great retreat from Haiqing in the past day. Wang Chung had many questions, but his tone remained steady. He intended to do so. It was clear that the survivor was hanging by a thread, likely to die at any moment, and his madness seemed more like a flash of clarity after being stimulated. In this situation, Wang Chung could only choose to speak in a calmer tone, trying to soothe the survivor's mental state to get answers to his questions. Behind him, Su Ling and the others also jumped out of the vehicle, gradually surrounding them. Su Xinghai gestured for everyone to remain silent, so as not to frighten the survivor. Wang Cheng's tone seemed to have some effect. The survivor suddenly stopped his chaotic howling, and his frantic movements gradually ceased. His gaze shifted, revealing a hint of chilling confusion as it swept over Wang Chung and the others. The expression on his face finally began to calm down. Ultimately, his eyes fixed on Wang Chung, or perhaps on the bright sky behind him, and in a tone of despair, he said, "Run, just run as far as you can. We have encountered." His voice trailed off as he leaned back against the wrecked military vehicle, his head tilting to one side. Though his eyes were still open, they had already lost their luster. Su Xinghai sighed and stepped forward to close his eyes. Su Ling whispered, "What on earth is going on?" Wang Chung glanced back at Wang Qi, Yuan Rui, and even Zhang Chao and Su Xinghai. Their faces were filled with terror, shaken by the mad survivor before them. Wang Chung felt a sense of unease as well. Ahead was the main force of the military retreat, with countless soldiers, heavy weapons, and survivors. How could anything go wrong? According to what Boss Chun had said earlier, although the main force faced an attack from diggers, they seemed to have successfully escaped. But Wang Chung did not show his concerns. He merely said, perhaps this is just a scattered survivor. It was chaotic at that time, and the fleeing convoy got disconnected. Let's go. There's nothing useful on this vehicle or with this survivor. Su Xinghai also nodded and said, there are many survivors who have been scared to the point of being utterly terrified, and this could just be one of them. The military has a large number of personnel, so the retreat shouldn't be an issue. Besides, this is not our concern. We are heading to a certain city, so let's hurry and aim to arrive before dark. Wang Chung was the first to return to his vehicle. The others exchanged glances and also got into their cars. Xu Bing still hadn't woken up. With the nanomechanical capsule medicine, her injuries were healing well, but the strong electrical current had stimulated and damaged her brain. And the injury to her nervous system was beyond what the nanorobots could repair. Whether she could wake up depended on her own condition. As they moved forward, Wang Chung asked Su Ling about her abilities. Can your ability heal others? He had seen Su Ling using her glowing hands to heal Xu Bing during the previous battle and had wanted to ask about it at the time. Su Ling nodded and replied, my ability is quite unique. I don't have much combat capability, but it is very functional. Not only can I weaken the perception of living beings towards me, allowing them to ignore me to some extent, but I can also use it to heal. Wang Chung realized, so that is why you keep saying you want to protect me? Su Ling silently nodded, feeling a bit ashamed as she said, I didn't know what useful medicine you had. Wang Chung finally understood. No wonder this girl kept insisting on protecting him. She was thinking that if she got hurt, she could use her ability to save herself. Unfortunately, her ability was too weak. As a level 1 awakened, even if she had offensive abilities like fire or water, they were still far from the power of firearms, let alone her rare special ability. Throughout the journey, her abilities had never been put to use in front of Wang Chung. This was the first time he had seen what her ability could actually do when she healed Xu Bing. But Wang Chung still said, regardless, I appreciate the thought. Thank you. The atmosphere became somewhat awkward. Zhang Chao, however, didn't he have so many thoughts and didn't he notice the strange awkwardness in the air? He said, your ability is impressive. I've never heard of anyone having an ability like yours. Hearing this, Wang Chung was intrigued and asked, so, is that why your father sent you to a research institution to be studied? Su Ling silently nodded and said, however, the expert in charge of me said that my ability is special and may have value, but it's hard to see any results in the short term. And there aren't many resources allocated to me. So later, I followed the military to act, hoping to use my ability to help heal people, but unexpectedly. Wang Chung looked at her thoughtfully. Earlier, he had assumed that Su Ling was the daughter of a prominent figure, someone different from them. But now it seemed that wasn't the case. Her father didn't seem to cherish her that much. Sending someone to take her to a temporary survivor base likely stemmed from the research value of her ability. Otherwise, she wouldn't have been able to wander around with Li Xinqing and others, or even with him. In this light, she seemed a bit pitiful. At that moment, the warship suddenly sounded an alarm. Wang Cheng's heart skipped a beat as he saw a dense cluster of light spots appear on the thermal radar at the warship's edge. This indicated that a large number of creatures were rapidly approaching. On the wilderness highway, monsters were relatively sparse. Where did such a group come from? However, they soon came into Wang Cheng's view. It turned out to be a mass of mutated bats, each the size of a person, horrifyingly mutated, numbering in the thousands, forming a dark cloud that swept across the battlefield like autumn winds blowing fallen leaves. What was even more terrifying was that they were fleeing. Behind them was a terrifying shark with wings, over 100 meters long, soaring through the sky, spewing flames and blocking out the sky, a true aerial dominator. Chasing the panicked mutated bats, that creature was definitely a level 5 mutated being. Su Ling exclaimed. Zhang Chao jokingly remarked, this scene reminds me of a foreign movie, Sharknado. A shark with wings flying in the sky. It's even more outrageous than that. It was indeed level 5. Wang Cheng's eyes flickered. He was somewhat tempted because he received a system notification stating that this winged, fire-breathing shark was worth 1,500 energy points. This creature was stronger than a digger. A level 2 warship was no match for a level 5 being. He wondered if his current level 3 warship, equipped with a laser cannon, could fight it. Wang Chung judged that his level 3 warship would have an easier time against a navigator, but facing a level 5 being, the odds were slim. It might be 50-50. And it could end up being quite embarrassing, even risking a counterattack. Level 5 mutated beings represented a qualitative leap compared to level 4. A single level 5 mutated being could easily slaughter a level 4, posing a significant threat, far beyond a slight improvement. However, as the saying goes, fortune favors the bold. Even if it was dangerous, if he could take down this creature for 1,500 energy points, he would soar to new heights. Wang Chung hesitated. Just then, Su Ling exclaimed, "Look, there's another one." At the edge of the sky, a second flying giant shark suddenly broke through the clouds.